What's up, guys? Welcome to another Iron Mike FIA stream, GT Sport. Today we'll be racing at, I think it's WeatherTech, Laguna, Seca, in the Porsche Carrera cars, which is N300s. I've been doing a bit of practice on it, not brilliant, but doing okay. Just waiting for this music to settle down. Once again, doing my usual, starting from the back. And in fact, I thought this was the race to start at the back. I imagine a lot of people wanting to, not wanting to, but just, I imagine a lot of people spinning out. The cars are quite slippery. It's sports hard tyres, a little bit hard to control. So I thought if I start at the back, I'll see a lot of people going off track. And so once again, during qualifying, I just would do an out lap and then a time lap but pit. And I was quite comfortable with the fact that I would be at the back, but I had someone else in, I think we've got 18 cars, and I've finished up in 17th place. I don't know how this guy finished behind me. Maybe he didn't put in much of an effort either. And this is because these tyres are quite slippery, and one mistake and you can go off. I actually found myself being quite nervous, not only just before the race, but actually during the race. So going down a straight, I'm actually able to stretch out my left brake leg, but my accelerator leg was kind of stuck, doing the work all throughout the whole race. And I really can't think of a time when I actually became relaxed. Maybe by lap 11. Yeah. But things can always go wrong. And then the other question was, I was hoping people would pit. Because I did some lobby races and some people were pitting, and it's just such a big time waster. And you would think people would understand to apply their brake until the lights go out, and yet we had two people still roll just a bit. I don't know why. Anyway, so we're off, and I'm in second last. At this point I thought maybe I should slow down and actually drop back to last. But there was actually quite a wall of cars to try and get through, so I thought I'll just be patient and just bide my time. So at this point I've already passed two cars, but again on this corner we'll find there's just more bottlenecking. I thought I'll be patient. So I'm down in second gear. There is a lot of fuel in these cars. I think there's about 22 laps worth of fuel, and we're only doing 14, so any opportunity I could get to burn a bit of fuel, I would take it, to make the car lighter for the end, and also that would apply less work on the tyres, I guess. So we're just starting to open up a bit, but still cars are getting a bit crazy, so just being a bit more patient still. Got Spaz Attack, my mate, on the outside. We're respectful of each other. I was hoping, I would have thought by now people would be spinning off, going a bit crazy, with no traction control. I did try it. Initially when I first was trying this track, I put no traction control on, and I just found if I was a bit of a lead foot, I would spin out. So I eventually resorted to traction control 2. See, still, this is one lap complete and we're still bunched up, and I think the front runners are getting away, especially the number one driver is pretty damn good. he's getting away big time. So just very carefully picking my points to get past people, and just hoping like hell people are going to race clean. And for the most part, I think it was. So again, I'm in third gear here. This is where I should be. Initially I would be dropping into fourth, but again, fuel burning. I think around here I'm getting held up a bit, so drop it into second, burn a bit more. So even at this point, I'm not fully 100% on the throttle, not fully getting into it. I'm still waiting for my moment. I was very cautious of getting inside a pack. A bit worried about getting knocked off. I thought I'll let the pack do that themselves. Now there's Spaz Attack just going off. He didn't get hit or anything, he just applied a bit too much acceleration as he's dropping down that hill. So easily got a bit of wheel spin and off he went. Alright, and then we've got Maori in front of me, so sliding a bit, doing a bit of drifting, so tyre wear again. Just give me a bit of a squeeze there, but no harm done. So now people are starting to go off track. So I'm already from 17th into 13th position. So starting lap 3, and I can't remember where I was thinking it. Maybe by lap 7 I was curious whether or not people would pit, but I felt in general, because of my being patient, I felt like I was looking after my tyres, and yet I'm seeing everyone else battle, and I thought near the end of the race I'm going to start making some moves. So Mara, he's got a half-second penalty. Let's see what I can do here. He's pretty good here. He serves his penalty and pulls over to the side, but no need for that, mate. I'm a little bit too far back. Now this is a guy who I've never raced against him before, so I was very cautious. I don't know, there's some people who you just get this feeling that they could cause you a bit of grief. So I was very wary of him. Just making sure that I'm close enough to apply pressure for a mistake, but also making sure I'm not too close so I accidentally brake a bit too late and punt someone. It's the last thing I want to do. So getting nice and close. Now slipstream in this race is weak, so for me it's almost non-existent. I am well in his slipstream and I'm not really making much progress. Here he goes out just a touch wide. I have broke a bit early in there, so able to take a tighter corner, but just couldn't get in. I was hoping his momentum would take him a bit further out and I'd be able to go for a pass, but nothing doing. Keep pushing. So still in 13th, and I was very mindful of the time, so I got what, 1.8 I think it is, or 1.3 seconds to the person behind me, and I'm pretty well sticking well up this guy's clacker, and oh, there he goes, and try and get past nice and clean, and that I do. And I think from there that Maori guy drops back a bit and then actually holds other people back for a little bit, so to give me a bit more room behind. So now this guy got up. He's one of the guys who I've you know, said g'day, have a good race. So I was hoping, I don't really know him that well, but I said hello and have a good race. So I was grateful that I did that, because now he's going to be my next victim. And so if you're ever unsure if someone's going to cause you some grief, at least if you've been polite to them at the beginning of the race, you hope they remember. So you can see cars up ahead, they're almost going into a drifting move, you know, so tyres are going to be wearing pretty hard. Just hitting that sausage a bit. Whenever I hit that sausage, I make sure I just lift, so I don't then spin out the back tyres. So just lift a bit, and then when I'm back on all four tyres, back onto it. So, I mean, luckily for me, this was pretty much one car at a time race. Just taking the inside of that sausage. Now we're hearing fire engines at the moment. I am sitting outside. Yeah, they stopped. Good. Got it. Goes a bit wide, and luckily for me, it goes a bit clear for me. I got the feeling he let me through, but he pushes a bit too hard again, and off he goes. I think he finally gets his act together on this corner. It's up to 11th now. Someone's placed the cone very nicely there. So now there's like can't even read it. I think it's 3 seconds. So yeah, I'm sitting outside looking through a window. So there's a bit, about 3 seconds, a bit of a gap. So at the very beginning of the race, all the patience I was showing to move through that pack has allowed people up the front to actually get quite far ahead. But I think it was through from 17 to 11 I was actually quite nervous. I don't know why. It's just, you know, to make your way past people and then to make a mistake and crash out in front of them, I was worried, because you're literally racing on ice. Just got to keep it as smooth as possible. So got a bit of work to do. I think the gap behind me is growing. I've got just over 4 seconds to the cars in front, which is weird, because, you know, there they are, they're in eye view. But because of the speed that we're doing, that's actually a 4-second gap. But I could at least visually see that I was catching up. So this guy, it's a Master or Miss, I think it's Miss, oh, there's someone else gone off. So, can't pronounce his name. Oh, what was it, Jazz? I've forgotten. Anyway, yeah, this guy in front of me, during I think it's qualifying, I just, my mind was not there. I was, like I said, I was only going around just to practice, and this guy was in front of me around this part of the track, and I thought, oh, I'll accelerate because there's people behind me. I want to get out their way. I'll accelerate and just fly off the track. But as I did that, I totally forgot I had someone in front of me, and I smacked right into this guy on this section, on this corner, and hit him off the track. But luckily it was our very first outlap. So we can see now that Master Panorama, he's caught up with Dirt Jumper NZ, another New Zealander guy who I've raced against, and I thought he was pretty clean, so he seems alright. But you can see here, with them battling, I'm catching up pretty quick. Now this is lap 7, and if people are going to pit, this is the lap to do it. So Master Panorama just goes off track a bit, getting a bit of dirty tyres, and I do not know what happens here. Maybe he's lost concentration, but off he goes. I was worried about passing him in case he, even though I did say sorry and he said no worries, I was worried in case he'd exact some revenge on me. But off he goes. So moving up into position 9 now, and my tyres, so we've passed the halfway mark. Looks like no one is pitting as yet, and my tyres are still looking pretty good. Now that Jazz, I can't see that Jazz guy, he fell back quite a bit and he caught up. I was surprised to see him in my mirrors. And around here I thought if he's right on my tail and he's going to go for a pass, I'll just let him go. But it just never happened. So each corner he'd catch up a bit and then drop back, and I thought, you know, he's just not doing it. So I'll keep the position. So even here he's moving over to left. And then also I'm worried about the punt. Like, please break in time. Then he falls back a bit. I think it's around here he loses it. Maybe not. But while that's all going on, I'm catching up to Dirt Jumper NZ. And even though I have said slipstream is weak, I'll make sure it's just habit to try and stick in someone's slipstream. You can hear the car go a bit quiet when you are in the slipstream. So he must have just gone off a bit of the track a bit there. He's copped himself a half-second penalty. So I'm going to keep nice and close to him to pass him when he serves that. But here he just starts to back up a bit and doing a bit of drifting. I thought he's in trouble. But this is allowing, I really forget his name, Jazz to catch up. So I go off to the right, Jazz races off to left, and I guess his braking point is blinded, and off he goes. So past two people on one corner, well, not past two, but get away from them. So lucky not to collide with that Jazz. And I think it's here, there's the big gap between me and 7th place. And I really wasn't sure whether or not I would actually catch up. But we've still got, was it 5 laps to go? And tyres are still looking okay. I think normally it's about lap 11 they really begin to die, but in these corners they just break a touch earlier. You know, they're just going to take a little bit longer to slow the car down. Trying to make sure I'm keeping my lines right, not spinning out too much. And the other thing I was amazed at was my lap times were pretty damn consistent, a minute 44 range. Apart from the very beginning when I was being held up. But you can see, you know, well over the halfway mark, and the fuel level's probably sitting at 60% there. I also haven't scrolled through my menu. There's not much to look at anymore. You know your fuel is good. I had my brake balance set at plus 1 to the rears. And then traction control I had set at 2 to make sure that I don't lose any grip. I also thought that might help the tyres a bit as well. But yeah, I think around here I started to notice I was just catching up to position 7. Position 9, I'm nice and comfortably ahead now, 7 seconds, so looks like people behind me were suffering with their tyres. Probably a little bit less experience, less practiced at it, and have just cooked their tyres. If you were to pit, that will set you back about 30 seconds. And then to try and make that up, you would make a difference in lap times. You would be catching people, but initially you'll have set yourself back 30 seconds. It's really not worth it in my eyes. Unless you're someone like the person right up the front who's got plenty of time up their sleeve. But if you're that far ahead, there's almost no need. Unless you think there's a risk of spinning out. And it was probably maybe around this part, maybe lap 12 or 13, I started thinking more, hopefully people's tyres are that worn, I'm going to start seeing yellow flags a lot. But you can never be too sure. So I could see the time coming down, but they're still a bit out of view. Still around that 7, you see the time jump up, and now it's jumping back down. And again, I was just really hoping that a lot of people would have pitted. Because at the moment, what am I, 37 seconds behind the leader? So he would come out in front of me with fresh tyres, but there's a number of these cars that would be behind, and the benefit to them afterwards would not be worth pitting. So anyway, now you can start to see the cars in front. I'm getting down to try and look at the time. I could see the time coming down. And there they are, and it was also good to see there were 2 cars. So I was hoping that hopefully they and begin to battle, and as you battle, your tyres begin to wear. One might knock the other off and then get a penalty, or at least just slow each other down. So lap 12, the race is coming near the end now. Oh, that was my one and only fault in the race. I just cut that a bit too much. It's a half-second penalty, could be worse. So just keep punching, but here I really noticed, now I'm down to 4.5. Really catching up to these guys. And the gap behind, those guys are really starting to fall away. So it's either their tyres they're battling or both. But now you can see, and I think this is mainly because I've looked after my tyres near the beginning. I would imagine my tyres are in much better condition than these 2 up front. But I've still got this half-second penalty to serve. So down here I'm thinking, right, just keep it smooth, try and get as best speed I can. And just pull in that lost me momentum. So normally I'd be in the 4th by now, but I had to now in the 4th and then drop the 3rd to get the speed back up. So a bit of gear changing going on there, a bit messy. I thought, they've got away from me again. Still got, 1.5 laps, and I thought they're still battling. Just keep pushing and pressure them. Because the guy in 7th now has to look at position 6 attacking, but also position 8, which is me, to defend. And again, they're so close, and I thought, please. I could just feel it. And having that huge gap behind me was quite a bit of help. So that's something I didn't have to worry about. But again, position 7, I was really hoping he was watching the time. So again, they're side by side, struggling with each other, and I'm just catching up big time now. Now, I don't know why, but this was the first race of the day and my only race. I'm not too sure why I didn't do any more. I think the reason was, I'd made quite a bit of progress in this race. So that there was position 17, just lapping a car. Mr. Splashman or whatever he is. Yeah, it was the only race of the day I did. You know, starting from the back, making quite a bit of progress. And I thought, you know, if I qualify properly and end up in the middle of the pack, I can see myself just getting wiped out and not doing so well. Plus, we've got a baby in the house and family responsibilities. Yeah. So even here I was hoping, but it was like, nah, I think I've lost it. It's no more opportunities. So that's from position 9. Sorry, position 17 up to position 8. That's 9 places up. Eighth place. Oh yeah. So what's that? 34 points. 9 places up. Position 8. I'll take that. Thanks for watching, guys.